Some people still argue about whether climate change is real. The market doesn't. It's already cashing in. Insurance companies are rewriting entire zip codes out of existence. Hedge funds are buying water rights like it's gold. Energy giants are rebranding themselves as saviors. And governments, they're not just fighting climate change, they're retrading Italiano. Because somewhere between the panic and the policy, someone realized this isn't just a crisis. It's an opportunity. $1 trillion one. Welcome to the Financial Historian, where money, power, and history collide. And nothing is ever as simple as it looks. For over 2 centuries, the same force that built empires has also threatened to destroy them. Energy. Coal powered Britain's dominance. Oil built America's century. Every empire's wealth has been tied to what it burns, and every collapse began when that fuel ran out or became too costly to control. So when people say the climate crisis will reshape the global economy, that's not hyperbole. It already is. What's new isn't the crisis that this time. The crisis itself is the product. The smoke, the storms, the fear, they've all been turned into tradable assets. The story begins long before solar panels. It starts in the 19th century, when the Industrial Revolution turned coal into currency. But it came with a price. Even then, scientists like Svante Arrhenius calculated that burning coal could warm the planet, a discovery largely ignored. For most of the 20th century, climate change wasn't an environmental issue. It was a business model. Then, in the late 1950s, Exxon's own scientist predicted global warming with eerie accuracy. Their internal memos warned the planet would heat by 2 to 3 degrees Celsius within a century. They were right-hand. They buried it, because you can't sell fear if it kills your product. But here's where the story takes a turn. When governments finally woke up in the 1990s, they didn't punish pollution. They priced Italiano. The Kyoto Protocol was supposed to limit carbon emissions. Instead, it created the first global market for pollution. Countries and corporations were given carbon credits permits to emit CO. If you polluted less, you could sell your unused credits to someone who polluted more. It was capitalism's solution. Turn emissions into assets. We didn't stop pollution. We just monetized it. By 2005, the EU launched its emissions trading system, the world's largest carbon market. Today, it handles over $1 trillion in carbon trades a year. On paper, it looks elegant. In practice, it's a casino. The system is porous. Many projects that supposedly reduced carbon were later found to have little to no real impact. Some forests didn't even exist. So instead of cutting emissions, we created a financial loop where pollution is just the price of doing business, and green becomes a tradable narrative. The carbon market became Wall Street's latest invention, a way to speculate on salvation. And it didn't stop there. By the 2010s, wind and solar were investment opportunities. Governments poured billions into subsidies. Tesla became the new Standard Oil, its valuation soaring past traditional car makers because it sold the idea of a cleaner tomorrow. Behind the scenes, a new race for raw materials began: lithium, cobalt, nickel. The clean energy revolution was built on another extractive empire, as dirty and exploitative as the old one. And in that shift, a new superpower quietly took the lead. China. It controls over 60% of global rare earth production. If oil was America's weapon of power, minerals are China's. The names change, but the strategy is the same. Control the resource, and you control the world's transition. Meanwhile, the financial sector learned to monetize catastrophe itself. They created catastrophe bonds. Investors buy the bond, but if a specified disaster happens, the issuer keeps the money to cover losses. In short, investors literally bet on whether disasters happen. The worse the climate gets, the bigger the market grows. When everything else looks volatile, catastrophe has become a reliable business. And then came the marketing. The solution was 3 letters: ESG, environmental, social, and governance investing. The idea was to put your money where your morals are. But it mutated fast. There was no single definition of what sustainable meant. A company could emit millions of tons of CO, yet still qualify as green. Fossil fuel giants were proudly listed in ESG portfolios. It wasn't deception, it was branding. Behind all of it runs the same thread: control of scarcity. Whether it's carbon credits, critical minerals, or green tech patents, whoever controls the bottleneck controls the world. And the climate crisis created a new kind of scarcity, not of oil or gas, but of stability itself. The markets don't deny climate change, they depend on it. Some hedge funds even call it climate alpha. The extra profits made from anticipating environmental chaos. It's disaster capitalism in its purest form. But this isn't the first time fear became an economic engine. During the Cold War, it was profit through paranoia. After 9/11, it was profit through surveillance. And today, the climate crisis plays the same tune: profit through apocalypse. The market doesn't need to solve the problem. It just needs the problem to stay profitable. When the planet burns, the rich don't panic. They invest. A billionaire builds a bunker. A bank develops resilience bonds. The message is consistent. Survival is a premium product. For everyone else, the cost of climate isn't abstract. It's insurance that vanishes, food that doubles in price. The climate economy doesn't divide the world between winners and losers. It divides it between those who can afford to adapt to those who can't. So when people say, "I don't believe in climate change," the correct response isn't argument, it's observation. The market already voted. Belief is irrelevant. When capital believes for you, history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes with profit. The Dutch traded tulips, the British traded tea, the Americans traded oil. Now the world trades its own survival, because climate change isn't just the defining crisis of our century, it's the defining asset class. And the only thing more powerful than fear of collapse is the opportunity to sell protection from it. If this gave you a new perspective, hit subscribe. History has the answers, I'll show you where to look.